All right, welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time, we're taking a look at someone who I think a lot of us know.
Yeah.
And was such a great talent. Lynne Marie Stewart.
She was fantastic.
Yeah, sadly passed away recently, so we thought this would be a good time to kind of take a look at her career and her life.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because, like, a lot of people probably know her from one thing and a lot of people from another thing. And some people know her from a whole swath of stuff.
Yeah, she was one of those people that you're like, oh, yeah, she's been in everything.
She was, yeah.
But it's like, when you really start digging in, you realize it's like, oh, wow, she really has been in everything.
Yeah, like, what a range.
Yeah.
Total range.
I think for me, and maybe for a lot of people of my generation or a little older,
yeah,
it was Miss Yvonne.
Of course, yeah.
The most beautiful women in Puppetland.
Absolutely.
From Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yes.
And, like, that show was so iconic, and he was a big part of it.
Well, and it's interesting to think about it now, too, because with the passing of Paul Rubens as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain generation that is like, oh my gosh, like, two of our icons had gone.
Right. Yeah, it was like a 1-2 punch to the childhood.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is, that is one thing, but she also, like you were saying, has this range.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about range. Like, going from Pee-wee's Playhouse to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as Charlie's mom.
Yeah. And doing both of them so well.
Yes, exactly.
Like, just crushing both of those roles.
It's incredible, yeah.
It's amazing. So, yeah, I mean, we've got to start with Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Let's do it.
I mean, like we said, it was such a cultural phenomenon, and it still is.
Yeah.
I mean, I still see kids wearing Pee-wee Herman shirts. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
It had this, like, staying power that a lot of kids' shows from that era don't really have.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think it was just so unique and weird. Like, it wasn't afraid to be, like, super strange and different.
Yeah.
And also, I think it appealed to adults on, like, a different level than it appealed to kids.
Right.
Like, kids were just like, oh, this is crazy and fun.
The colors and the silliness.
Yeah, and adults were picking up on, like, the irony and the humor that was, like, a little bit more sophisticated.
Right.
So it worked on these, like, multiple levels, which I think is rare.
Yeah, I think you're totally right.
And, I mean, Lynne Marie Stewart as Miss Yvonne, she, like, fit into that perfectly.
Yeah.
Because she was, like, this, very beautiful woman who is playing this, like, very, like, innocent and, like, kind of naive character.
Right, yeah.
And it just worked so well.
It was like the perfect counterpoint to all the craziness that was happening around her.
Exactly.
And I think, like, her background, she was part of the Groundlings.
Yeah, that's a huge beauty.
Which is like this legendary improv group.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I mean, so many, like, incredible comedians have come out of the Groundlings, like Will Ferrell,
Kristen Wiig,
yeah.
All of these people.
So many, yeah.
And so, I think that really, like, honed her skills
Totally.
as a comedic performer.
Yeah, I mean, like, improv is all about being in the moment and, like, reacting to what's happening.
Right.
And you can see that in her performance as Miss Yvonne. She's, like, always present.
Yes.
And, like, always ready for whatever Peewee's going to throw at her.
Yeah, it's so true.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
He threw a lot at her.
I'm curious about, that connection with the Groundlings.
Yeah.
Because she also, knew Sidney Williams from Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, really?
And they were friends, like, back in the day.
That's cool.
And I was like, is there, like, some sort of, like, secret society of comedic actors?
Right. Like, how did they all meet?
Yeah, they all went to, like, LA City College together.
Oh, wow.
Like, back to the day.
That's amazing.
And it's just like, you think about all these people coming out of this one place.
It's like a breeding ground for comedy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's so cool.
But yeah, so, I mean, we've talked about Pee-wee's Playhouse. We've talked about It's Always Sunny.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, she was in so much other stuff.
Oh, yeah, tons of stuff.
Like, what are some of the things that stand out to you?
Well, I mean, you've got, like, American Graffiti.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a classic.
Yeah.
You've got The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
Like, super different, clear and present danger with Harrison Ford.
She was good in that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, even more recently, she was in Bridesmaids.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, like, such a funny movie. So
it?
she really, like, spanned the decades and, like, different genres of comedy.
Yeah, it's amazing. And even up until just recently, she had finished filming this movie.
I know.
Called The Dink.
The Dink, yes.
With Ben Stiller.
With Ben Stiller, a pickleball movie?
I know.
How random is that?
I'm so curious about that.
Me too.
That's hilarious.
It sounds amazing.
But yeah, I mean, so Clearly, she loved what she did
She did, yeah.
and was working right up until the end.
Yeah, and it seemed like people really loved her.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she was really well respected in the industry.
I was reading this tribute that Cassandra Peterson,
Elvira.
yeah,
Yeah,
posted about her.
I saw that.
And it was just like so sweet and heartfelt.
It was really touching.
And it was clear that like they were really close friends and that like she was just like this really warm and genuine person.
Yeah, it seems like she just brought joy to everyone she worked with.
Yeah. It's lovely to hear those kinds of stories about people in Hollywood because you never know, you know.
You never know.
Right.
Sometimes it's the opposite. So it's nice to hear when it's like, oh, no, they're actually really great people.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hey, if you are enjoying this deep dive into Lynne Marie Stewart's career, why don't you hit that like button and
Yes.
subscribe to the channel? That would really help us out. But yeah, I mean, getting back to this idea of like her range and her talent, what do you think it was about her that made her so special?
I think it was like her warmth.
Mhm.
Like she just had this like really genuine warmth about her.
Yeah.
That came through in all of her roles. Like
Yeah.
even when she was playing like a more like, eccentric character.
Right.
There was still like this like heart to her performance.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's like she never seemed like she was trying too hard.
No.
You know, it was just like this effortlessness to what she did.
Yeah, it was just like so natural. And I
Yeah.
think that made her really relatable to audiences.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it felt like she was just being herself.
Right.
Even though she was playing these like crazy characters.
Yeah, totally. I'm trying to think of a good example of that.
Well, I mean, like even in Bridesmaids, like
Right.
she has this really small role,
Uh-huh.
but she's so funny in it.
Yeah.
And it's like a couple of scenes.
Right.
And she just makes such an impact.
Yeah.
And it's because she's just like so present.
Yeah.
And like so in the moment.
Yeah, she commits to the bit.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people love about her.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's a great place to leave it, I think. I think, we've covered a lot of ground here, and Lynne Marie Stewart was a true talent,
Absolutely.
and she will be missed.
She will be.
But her work will live on.
It will.
And I encourage everyone to go back and watch some of her stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's really worth revisiting.
It is.
And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, why don't you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel? It really helps us out. And we'll see you next time
Sounds good.
for another deep dive.
See you later.
All right.